Welcome, everybody. This is Attitude Fan, hence the name at the bottom of the screen. Basically, what I'm going to do on this show is talk about wrestling. And I'm basically just going to pick a random episode of Monday Nitro and talk about it. And today, we settled on March 11th, 1996, pre NWO. So WCW kind of a mess at this point, which, really they were kind of a mess during the NWO as well. The show takes place from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which we think is Nature Boy Ric Flair country, but maybe not, which I'll kind of talk about here a little later. So basically, Nitro opens up, has a pretty cool entrance. I like the Nitro entrance at this point. Basically, it's showing like the buildings and like the highlight of the wrestlers like in the building. I feel like Monday Night Raw kind of stole this entrance a little bit at one point, which was cool. But yeah, WCW kind of had that going for them. The commentators for this show, which the commentary booth is far away from the ring, up by the entrance stage, which I do not like. I think they should always keep the commentators ringside, keep them right near the action. But they had a three-man booth, which again, I don't know if I like the three-man booth. I think I like two. I think two is the way to go. But you had Eric Bischoff, who later becomes kind of the de facto leader of the NWO. I actually like Bischoff as a commentator. I think he is a fantastic commentator. I think he does a wonderful job. I kind of almost wish that he would have just stayed doing that instead of getting involved as an on-screen character. You had Bobby the Brain Heenan. Some people like him. Some people think he's great. I think he's okay. I think with the right person, he does a wonderful job. I don't think this is the right team for him, though. He kind of comes off, I don't know. He just randomly will be saying stuff. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of him with this crew. And the third man was Steve Mongo McMichael, who had his dog Pepe with him. No offense to Steve Mongo. Rest in peace. I think maybe. I think he's passed away. I think, but yeah, awful commentator. Awful. Just not good at all. Really, we didn't need him there. We didn't need him at all. We didn't really, honestly, like I don't think we needed him at all. But that's the commentary team for this WCW Nitro. I think it was a 2-hour show. Basically, I watched like a condensed version where, basically you skip the commercials and basically we just see kind of the in-ring action. I think it, takes away some of the replays from previous weeks. But let's talk about the champions. Like I said, this is March 11th, 96. The world champion, WCW champion is Ric Flair, who won it a month prior. The U.S. champion is Conan, who won it a little over a month prior. We actually don't even see Conan on the show. Their show, by the way, is less than 2 weeks before the uncensored pay-per-view. So you would think you would probably see all the champions or all the people that are going to be at that pay-per-view. You would think that it would, progress the storylines. I don't think it really does. But again, I'm just watching a random episode, so I don't 100% know exactly what the storylines are. The tag team champions are Sting and Lex Luger. We don't even see Sting at all throughout the whole show, which was kind of weird. And they won it. They're the longest reigning champions right now, actually. They won it almost 2 months ago. And then the television champion, Lex Luger. So Luger, a two belt man here at this point, which I think is pretty awesome. I like it when people have two belts. I think it adds a little bit of intrigue. Basically, we have 4 matches tonight, so it's a pretty quick in-ring action. And like I said, you would think that it would kind of carry on some storylines, but the opening bout, which WCW, I think, becomes known for this, which is basically, hey, our first match is just going to be 2 random people that we're going to throw together, and it's probably going to be a pretty decent match. In this case, it was the Giant versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The Giant's managed by Jimmy Hart, who Jimmy Hart's amazing. I think Jimmy Hart was a fantastic manager, and we get to see him a couple of times tonight. So he comes out with the Giant, who faces Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Basically, I mean, a very good match. I don't think this has anything to do with the storyline, though, leading into the pay-per-view. But a solid match, a very good match. You can't go wrong with a Hacksaw Jim Duggan match. And at this point in time, I think the Giant, or the Big Show, as he becomes known, I think he was fantastic when he was in WCW. I think he was a little more athletic. He was a little more in shape. Even his early time in WWF, I think he was really good. So, yeah, this was actually a pretty good match. It only lasted 6 minutes. Kind of had kind of a weak finish. Basically, Hacksaw kind of gets distracted by Jimmy Hart. And then, basically Hacksaw the whole time just trying to do whatever he can to get the Giant down, which he does end up getting him down. I was kind of impressed by that. I was kind of surprised that they had that happen actually, but yeah, basically Jimmy Hart distracts him, and then Big Show choke slams him. One choke slam, it's over. Kind of a maybe a weak finish, but whatever. The most surprising thing about this match though is Brian Pillman, tries to make a run in from the crowd. Eric Bischoff leaves the commentary booth to go make sure he gets escorted out. Okay, I'm with it. I'm with it, but the camera never pans to Brian Pillman, but they do acknowledge him on the commentary booth. So obviously it's part of the storyline. But why not show him on camera? Why not zoom away from the match? Why not just let the match end? Why not just, hey, match is over. Like, they got distracted or something. It was just very weird how they were kind of like, oh yeah, this is happening, but it's not happening. So I just don't know. WCW did this a lot with things where it would be like, there'd be two things happening at once, and they expect us to be able to pay attention to both, which I didn't like. I didn't like that. I feel like you kind of wasted that Brian Pillman moment. I think that could have happened between matches, or, like I said, just in the match and let's just go to that. But then, Bischoff runs and stops and then comes back and it was just a cluster. It was a cluster. It was a mess. The next matchup we have was supposed to be the Road Warriors versus the Nasty Boys, which would be a pretty good match. The Road Warriors are basically going to be fighting for the titles at the pay-per-view against Luger and Sting. So you would think that maybe somehow that would be involved. But no, that's nothing to do with that match is going to happen tonight. But the Road Warriors are supposed to face the Nasty Boys. Well, the Nasty Boys are supposed to come out first. We get a different music hit. So return of the Steiners. They come out on Harleys. The crowd, zero reaction. The commentators, hardly any reaction. It was very weird. It was very strange. It was very weird. I feel like it would have been a lot better had the Road Warriors came out first, and then you go, where's the Nasty Boys? Why are they not coming? Where are they at? Here's their music. What's going on? But no, you just kind of just randomly had. It was just very weird. But you do end up getting the Legion of Doom versus the Steiners, which, two of the best tag teams of all time, possibly two of the top 5 tag teams of all time. Like I said, this is the Steiners' return to WCW. They've been, WWF. Actually, I think this was their first time in WCW. I think they were in the NWA, WWF, Japan. They were all over. They come here. The Road Warriors, I think, are supposed to be the good guys. The crowd starts cheering for them. Scott Steiner at this point, by the way, amazing. I think he's the best one in this match. Rick Steiner's probably the worst one in the match. But whatever, Hawk and Animal are both, great at this moment. I always loved them. I love Animal, the fact that he's still in shape here. So he does like a drop kick at one point. Hawk just total badass. I think Hawk had the best look. I like his haircut, the inverted mohawk. Everything about the Legion of Doom, everything about the Road Warriors was fantastic. This match took 10 minutes. Okay, that's not bad for a Nitro. I think maybe it could have been a little longer, but hey, it's maybe the start of a feud, but good match. Both teams hit their finisher, which I thought was weird. And then Legion of Doom, who, like I said, maybe was the good guys here, win by doing a heel tactic. Basically, Animal grabs one of the spiked shoulder pads and hits Rick over the head with it and causes Hawk to be able to pin him. Again, kind of a mess of a finish, honestly. It seemed like, we had that with the first match with the Giant and Hacksaw where it just kind of ended. And then I feel like this one was the same way. I think they were like, oh, we're out of time. Like, let's just end it. But yeah, so the Road Warriors win. You kind of ruined the Steiners' return, I think. Why do you not have the Steiners win there? It makes no sense. But we do get a Steiner promo afterwards. Scott Steiner talks first. His promos have never been great, but I think they are entertaining. You just have to follow along because who really knows what he's saying? Who really knows what he's talking about? He has no idea what he's talking about. But it was a lot better than the, minute or so that Rick Steiner talked because I never liked Rick Steiner on the microphone. And honestly, I never really was a big fan of Rick Steiner. I know WCW pushed him to be like a main eventer. They're late towards the end of their run, like late 99, early 2000. So you kind of cared about him a little bit, but he was always the lesser Steiner. I mean, especially when they broke up and became single stars. Scott became, world champion. Rick just kind of faded out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they made it seem like, this might lead to a bigger feud, but knowing WCW, they might never fight again. They might never fight again. Who knows? Which is sad because, like I said, two of the top 5 tag teams of all time. You also had the Nasty Boys, which were supposed to be there. Another great tag team, one of the best of all time. Man, tag team wrestling was great in the 90s. I think 90s tag team wrestling was the best. Pretty much all those tag teams in the 90s, I feel like, are way better than any tag team we have now. I don't even know who the tag team champions are now. Do they even still do tag team wrestling? I don't know. I don't think it's a thing anymore. But yeah, so the Road Warriors beat the Steiners. Kind of weird. Next up we have Lex Luger, Mr. Two Belts, the one half of the tag team champions, is also the television champion, and he faces Alex Wright, who I was a big Alex Wright fan. I think he should have had a bigger career. I think maybe WCW kind of let him down a little bit. I think if he was a wrestler nowadays, I think he would be pushed to the top. I think he had the look. I think he had the charisma. I think he had the athleticism. I think he was great in the ring. I think he had a pretty decent character. But in WCW, it just never really worked out. Luger, on the other hand, I think Luger. I think maybe here Luger's playing a heel. It's kind of weird. Like there's WCW not very good here at determining who the good guys and who the bad guys are. But I think Luger had the look. I think Luger had the look to be a champion. I think he had like a good heel persona. I wish he would have had a big run as a world champion. I don't know whatever happened with that. I don't really know exactly why he didn't get it, but I do feel like he deserved it. Jimmy Hart basically is his manager. He kind of comes out towards the end, which I'll get to. This match was also 6 minutes. So there you go. This match was also 6 minutes. According to what I've read online, this was actually for the television title. They make no mention of that on the broadcast at all. Luger does come out with both belts that he has, but they make I didn't see no reference for this being a title match. But online it says it was. So there you go. Luger does end up winning. This was probably maybe the worst match on the card, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought this had potential to be a very good match. I don't know where we're at in Alex Wright's career, but I know early on he was being pushed pretty heavily. I don't know what happened with that, but obviously by this point he's kind of done. Yeah, weakest finish though out of every match tonight that I watched, because basically Alex Wright goes to the top ropes. He's going to probably do a crossbody drop or a missile drop kick. Jimmy Hart runs out, distracts him long enough for Luger to recover. Alex Wright jumps into Luger. Luger catches him, basically just drops him across the ropes, pins him for the 1, 2, 3. What a weak finish, man. What a weak finish. I think that's when Alex Wright should have said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going back to Germany. I can't. Obviously, there's nothing here for me. Yeah, weak finish, man. Just super weak. But yeah, so there you go. You kind of had that. I don't know if that helps the storyline. I mean, kind of Luger doesn't really want Hart there, I feel like, is kind of what I'm getting. Like, Luger was a little upset with him. So maybe that becomes a storyline. But again, I mean, Luger, I guess, is defending his world TV title at the pay-per-view. He's supposed to be teaming with Sting to fight LOD. So, yeah, I don't know. It does not advance really a storyline. That leads us to our main event, which is a strap match, a lumberjack strap match. Basically, the lumberjacks will have straps. There'll be 2 straps in the ring. There'll be a 3-on-3 tag match. WCW definitely was not afraid to throw out some crazy matches, man. You had the 4-layered or the 3-layered cage at this uncensored that they're about to have. You have like the 4 levels of hell or whatever Hogan was doing, where he had to fight like 3 or 4 opponents that night to get a world title shot. I saw one time where they were fighting in the back of an 18-wheeler driving down the road. WCW was not afraid to throw out some weird matches. This was one of them. I did like, though, that they had all the lumberjacks wearing like actual lumberjack shirts, which is pretty cool. They said 20 to 25 lumberjacks. I counted maybe 10 to 12. You did have some good ones, though. You had the Giant and Loch Ness, who ended up fighting each other, basically. You had, I think Ming was out there. Conan was out there. Conan, a champion at this point, didn't have a match or anything. He doesn't even get acknowledged. Who else was out there? Dean Malenko was out there. Yeah, you had a couple others. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of lumberjack matches. This though was a little too much. One team being Winston Salem, you had to have Ric Flair show up. So Ric Flair finally shows up. It's Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Kevin Sullivan. They come out to the iconic Ric Flair entrance, the theme song, which I really like that both teams just came out to one song. Like nowadays, if you have a 3-on-3, all six guys get their own entrance. It's a 10+ minute, affair. And by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I don't even care about the match anymore. I did like that they just all three guys came out with Ric Flair. It was great, and then all three guys come out with Hogan, so it worked perfect. But Flair, Arn, and Kevin Sullivan. You also had Woman and Miss Elizabeth were both with them because Rick always needs his ladies. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Hogan's team comes out. It's Hogan, Randy Savage, and Booty Man, which Booty Man is the worst wrestling name ever. They did not do him any justice at all. Could have been a good character, maybe. I don't just change the name. I mean, come on. But Hogan definitely had the loudest pop, which is weird because you're in Flair country. I don't know. I mean, I get that Flair's the bad guy here. I get that Hogan's the good guy, but you're in Winston-Salem. So, yeah, I mean, wow. Good job for WCW there getting people to hate Ric Flair. That was probably the best thing that they did on the show, actually. So basically, this match just starts, and it's just crazy from the get go. They get in the ring, they just start whipping each other. It's chaos. They're fighting outside the ring. They're fighting inside the ring. Flair tries to run away at one point, gets pulled back by Animal, who's a lumberjack as well. I guess at some point somebody tries to do something to Woman or Miss Elizabeth, I think. Kimberly Page comes out because she has the hots for Booty Man, which, hey, getting Kimberly Page on screen, great idea. Fantastic idea. Having her come out for the Booty Man, horrible idea. I think the Booty Man should have never got girls. I think the Booty Man should have been a laughing stock. I think, again, just change the name, get rid of the character, whatever. But this match was just chaos. This was too much to go on. Between the Lumberjacks and the Straps, 3-on-3, I had no idea what was going on. At times, I had no idea who was fighting who. Basically, Hogan does win, though. He hits the lug drop on Flair, pins him for the 1-2-3 because, Hogan's got to go over, brother. I mean, that's how it goes. I was glad that we actually had a match end by like the guy's actual finisher. I know the Giant won by the choke slam early on, but I don't know. It wasn't like a great choke slam. This was like Hogan's leg drop. He made it look good. So his team wins. Him, Savage, and Booty Man. Flair tries to do something at the end and run away maybe, and Hogan chases after him, and I'm like, okay, cool, great way to end the show. No, that's not how we're ending the show. We're back in the middle of the ring. Me, Gene Okerlund is in there giving an interview with the losing team because we don't need an interview with the winning team. Got to have an interview with the losing team. Flair, as the world champion, by the way, did not come out with his belt. This makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. I don't get it. Like, how do you not? First of all, the WCW belt, the best looking world title ever. How do you not come out with it? The big gold. How do you? Okay, I don't know. But we get an interview with Flair. I think mid '90s Flair had no idea what he was talking about. I think he was maybe too jacked up on something. Because basically he's just rambling off words and strutting around the ring and screaming and yelling, and it's just I have no idea. I mean, it's entertaining because it's Ric Flair, but this is not like '80s Flair with his the greatest promos of all time. Arn gets to talk for a minute, talks about how he's bald and looks like he's 45, but he's really like 22. No, that's not what he said. He basically said really nothing. And then Kevin Sullivan gets on there and basically says nothing. And then, Flair talks about Woman and Miss Elizabeth again. And then we think it's over. We cut to the commentators and they're like, yeah, show over. And then Flair runs up there and it's just like, dude, what is going on? Like, literally, I think like what happened here with WCW at this point was they were like, here's an idea. And then that was it. It was like, imagine a movie with like all like, improv. Well, these guys are not good at improv. You needed some kind of outline for all these guys that are on this show, and we didn't get it. But hey, whatever. I guess we're ready for Uncensored in 2 weeks. I guess I don't know, but overall, 1 to 5, I'm giving this 1.5 stars. This was a horrible episode of Nitro. sorry that this is the first one that I'm doing. I kind of hated it for myself as well. I kind of hated watching it. Luckily, it was the condensed version, so I only had to watch for like an hour. Hey, come back though again to Attitude Fan. Look us up on YouTube. Hit that like, subscribe button, and maybe next time we'll have a better episode. Maybe we'll stick with Nitro. Maybe we'll switch over to Raw. Maybe we'll go ECW because I like ECW as well. I don't know what we're gonna do. We'll do something. It'll be random, so it might be a bad episode again, like this one. Mid WCW pre NWO. Man, thank God for the NWO, where I don't think they even would have made it to '98. But for Attitude Fan, that's it. I'll check you later.